The arrogance in Vincent Caldwell's smirk was unmistakable as he brushed past the cleaning woman mopping the VIP section. Her crime? Existing in his world of champagne bottles and designer suits. Impossible, he knew. People like her didn't belong among the elite. His entourage chuckled along, watching her weathered hands grip the mop handle as they dismissed what they assumed was just another invisible servant. Then the lights went out, the sound of silence. 7 figures lay motionless on the marble floor. The cleaning woman stood calmly in the center, no longer holding a mop. Vincent's face drained of color as he realized his terrible mistake about the phantom who had been hunting his kind for decades. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing for more tales of hidden predators and moments when justice strikes from the shadows. But to understand how 7 of the world's most dangerous criminals came to die in a luxury nightclub, we need to go back 15 years to a phone call that changed everything. 15 years earlier, Magdalena Voss was translating diplomatic documents in her Prague apartment when the phone rang at 3:17 a.m. The voice on the other end spoke in broken English, trembling with grief. "Miss Voss? This is Dr. Muller from Geneva Medical Center. I'm calling about your sister, Elena Nakamura." Magdalena's blood turned cold. Elena had married a Japanese diplomat, moving to Tokyo with their daughter Yuki. "There's been an incident," Dr. Muller continued. "A terrorist attack on a pharmaceutical facility. Your sister and her family were test subjects for a biological weapon. I'm sorry. There were no survivors." The phone slipped from Magdalena's fingers. Elena. 8-year-old Yuki with her gap-toothed smile. Gone. "The authorities believe it was orchestrated by an international syndicate," Dr. Muller's voice continued from the floor. "They use diplomatic families as test subjects because their deaths can be blamed on terrorism. We have reason to believe it was ordered by a man named Vincent Caldwell." That night, Magdalena Voss, the quiet translator, died along with her sister. What emerged from that grief would spend the next 15 years becoming the perfect instrument of justice. Present day, Club Obsidian. Magdalena adjusted her grip on the industrial mop, her movements automatic after 3 years of perfecting this performance. At 55, her steel-grey hair showed more silver now, her face lined with years that most would mistake for a lifetime of humble service. She moved through Club Obsidian like a ghost, gathering intelligence while masquerading as help. Club Obsidian existed beyond normal human experience. Its black marble floors created an atmosphere of cold luxury, but the real corruption lay in its membership. This wasn't just a nightclub for the wealthy, it was a gathering place for the architects of human misery. Vincent Caldwell commanded the central VIP area like a dark emperor. At 42, he possessed the kind of magnetism that drew lesser predators into his orbit. His custom suit couldn't disguise the predatory intelligence in his pale eyes. The watch on his wrist, encrusted with conflict diamonds, served as both timepiece and trophy. Around him sat the other members of what they called the Syndicate, 6 men who had divided the world's suffering among themselves. Klaus Richter represented arms dealing that fueled wars across continents. The scars on his knuckles told stories of violence that had evolved into something profitable and infinitely evil. Isabella Thorne had inherited her father's shipping empire and transformed it into a global trafficking network. Marcus Webb's pharmaceutical company had wiped out villages with designer plagues. Dimitri Kostas deliberately created refugee crises to profit from human displacement. David Patterson's tech platforms enabled every form of exploitation imaginable. Alexei Volkov provided assassination services that kept their enemies silent. "The Myanmar shipment clears customs tomorrow," Klaus reported, consulting a tablet showing assault rifles disguised as agricultural equipment. "The military is eager to begin their cleansing operations." "Excellent," Vincent replied. "And the new cargo from the Balkans?" "Already processed," Isabella noted, her British accent making slavery sound like commerce. "The younger specimens command premium prices. Quality control has improved since we implemented new selection criteria." As Magdalena moved among them, invisible in her role, she listened to conversations that revealed the true scope of their evil. Arms shipments to fuel genocide, biological weapons tests on villages. Human trafficking that processed refugees like cattle, each word adding to a catalogue of atrocities. Tonight wasn't just about gathering intelligence. Tonight, the patient hunter would finally become the predator. 5 years earlier, Berlin. The safe house was exactly what Magdalena expected, functional, forgettable. Colonel Morrison sat across from her, his business card listing him as a cultural attaché, though his real job involved activities no government would acknowledge. "Mrs. Voss," Morrison began, "we've been monitoring your activities for 3 years." Since Elena's murder, Magdalena had taught herself skills most learned in military academies. Her first kill had been clumsy, stabbing a pharmaceutical researcher 17 times with a kitchen knife. Her 15th kill had been Art, a trafficking coordinator who simply vanished, leaving no evidence. The Mendoza executions in Colombia, the Mumbai facility bombing, the Rotterdam massacre. Impressive work for someone with no formal training, Morrison said, consulting surveillance photos. They deserved to die, Magdalena replied simply. Morrison nodded. Men like Vincent Caldwell serve a purpose in global power balance. They handle operations governments need distance from, but their ambitions have grown beyond what we can tolerate. He slid a photograph across. Vincent entering Club Obsidian. "We want to offer you a job. Full backing, unlimited resources, official sanction. Help us eliminate a problem too large for conventional solutions." That conversation led to 5 years of intensive training. Assassination techniques leaving no evidence. Infiltration methods making her truly invisible. Psychological conditioning allowing her to become anyone, anywhere. When she emerged, Magdalena Voss, the grieving sister, had been erased. In her place stood something new, a weapon designed for targets beyond earthly justice. Present day, Club Obsidian. Vincent's phone buzzed with news that made his smile widen. "Gentlemen, I've received confirmation. The enhanced viral agents are ready for deployment." The men leaned forward eagerly. They were discussing Project Cleansing, a biological attack that would reduce global population by 60% while leaving infrastructure for survivors to inherit. "Conservative estimates suggest we'll eliminate 4 billion in the first wave," Klaus noted, consulting casualty projections that treated human lives as statistics. "The beauty," Vincent continued, "is it will appear natural. Our people in health agencies will ensure no treatments reach general population, while our facilities have exclusive antidotes." Marcus nodded approvingly. "Fresh water, arable land, minerals, all consolidated under our control. Survivors will be completely dependent on our infrastructure." As Magdalena listened to them plan the largest genocide in history, she felt the cold fire that had sustained her for 15 years reaching full intensity. These monsters weren't content with current evil. They planned to murder most of the human race. But they had made one critical error. They had dismissed the cleaning woman as invisible, never suspecting the phantom they'd unknowingly been hunting was standing behind them. Vincent checked his diamond watch, worth more than most earned in lifetimes. "Shall we proceed to final phase? Our government associates await deployment schedules." The men gathered documents, preparing to move to a secure room where they could discuss genocide mechanics privately. Magdalena finished cleaning marble around their table, movements unhurried and professional. What they couldn't see was her muscles shifting into combat readiness or cold calculation behind unremarkable features. They couldn't know the woman dismissed as invisible had spent 15 years becoming the perfect justice instrument. "Another round," Vincent commanded, not bothering to look at the waitress. His attention focused on shipping manifests disguising human cargo, financial records tracking payments for unacknowledged services, population projections treating genocide as actuarial exercise. "The London selection process has been refined," Isabella reported, consulting a tablet displaying children's photographs alongside clinical data, reducing them to specimens. "Medical partners confirm subjects ages 6 to 12 provide optimal test parameters." "Demand in Middle Eastern markets remains strong," Klaus added, scarred hands moving across refugee camp maps. "Clients particularly interested in specific characteristics, blonde hair, blue eyes, premium prices for quality merchandise." Marcus raised champagne in toast that would chill blood of anyone understanding implications. "To Phase 2 of Project Cleansing, may it exceed projections." They toasted planned murder of billions, discussing genocide like quarterly earnings. As Magdalena moved among them, she catalogued every word for evidence files that would never be needed. These men had moved beyond human justice, protected by corruption webs extending into every major government, but they'd never encountered the justice Magdalena represented. Vincent's phone carried news, making his predatory smile widen. Distribution networks in place across 47 countries. Government health agencies confirmed cooperation with deployment protocols. Timeline? Asked Alexei, professional interest in coordinated violence evident. 6 months for global deployment, Vincent replied. Initial release disguised as natural outbreaks, secondary infections through normal transmission while controlled media ensures predetermined public response. Isabella traced finger across world map marked with red target zones. Beauty of biological warfare is deniability. No military forces, no obvious aggression, no clear enemy. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, infection vectors will be irreversibly established. They were planning civilization's end as business opportunity. Their absolute confidence in superiority had made them vulnerable in ways they couldn't imagine. They'd become so accustomed to viewing certain people as invisible, they'd forgotten those invisible people might be watching, listening, planning. As Vincent rose, turning toward private elevator for final meeting, Magdalena made her move. She walked to light controls and entered a sequence plunging VIP section into complete darkness. The darkness wasn't simply absent light, it was tactical environment Magdalena had spent months preparing. She knew exact layout, precise distances, location of every obstacle. For her, blackness was familiar as daylight. For Vincent and associates, it was unknown territory where predators became prey. What the hell? Vincent's voice cut through sudden black. Klaus reached instinctively for his weapon when something sharp pressed against his carotid with surgical precision. I wouldn't, came a voice bearing no resemblance to submissive cleaning woman whisper. This was Winter Wind across Graveyard, carrying absolute certainty of death. Who are you? Klaus whispered. Justice, Magdalena replied, and Blade moved with practiced efficiency. Klaus Richter, who'd armed child soldiers across continents, died with same helplessness as his youngest victims, one down. Marcus tried standing when something moved through darkness with fluid predator grace. The children in Congo, families in Rwanda, villages in Cambodia. Do you remember their names? Voice whispered near his ear. Please, I can pay. They couldn't, Magdalena said. Marcus Webb died from Blade finding his heart with surgeon's precision and executioner's coldness. 2 down. Isabella's scream pierced darkness, aristocratic composure shattering. Security! She shrieked desperately. Scream died as cold fingers closed around windpipe with expert anatomy knowledge, cutting air while avoiding unnecessary struggle. The children you sold called for mothers the same way you're trying to call for help, Magdalena whispered as consciousness faded from Isabella's eyes. 3 down. Dimitri fumbled for phone, screen providing tiny light island. For split second, illumination revealed Marcus slumped with blade in chest, Klaus motionless with throat opened, Isabella still and silent. Phone was plucked away by fingers moving faster than terrified mind could process. You created refugee crises, profited from desperation, she said, voice carrying accumulated grief of thousands of families torn apart by his engineered disasters. 4 down. David Patterson tried accessing Club's environmental controls through his phone, fingers flying across screen attempting to restore light. Your algorithms helped traffickers identify victims, built platforms facilitating every abuse imaginable, Magdalena said, moving closer with silent footsteps. The families you helped destroy, children your systems delivered into slavery. Did you ever see their faces, or were they just data points? Blade piercing David's heart was guided by every child tracked by his systems, every family torn apart by his digital surveillance. 5 down. Alexei rolled from chair, drawing backup weapon, when something struck his wrist with devastating precision, bones snapping. Gun clattered away as he bit down on Scream. You should have stayed in army. At least there you killed soldiers instead of civilians, Magdalena whispered. Blade ending Alexei's life slipped between ribs with precision of someone studying anatomy in service of justice rather than medicine. 6 down. Vincent found himself alone with 6 corpses and Predator who'd systematically dismantled his organization. Hands shook, feeling a long table for weapons, fingers encountering warm wetness that had been his associates. "Please," he whispered, word feeling foreign. Vincent had never begged, never acknowledged authority higher than his will. "Whatever you want, I can pay. Anything. I don't want your money. I want your life. You're making a mistake. Do you know who I am? Understand consequences?" "Vincent Coldwell," Phantom voice replied, moving closer. "I know because I've been hunting you 15 years, ever since you sold my 8-year-old niece to pharmaceutical trials, ever since you turned my family into profit margins." Vincent's mind raced through victim possibilities, trying to place this woman among vast catalogue his organization had processed. So many over years, individual faces had blurred into statistical abstractions. "The Nakamura family," she continued, Vincent feeling recognition collapse his world. "Tokyo, 2008. You needed test subjects for chemical weapons. Diplomat's family, perfect for needs. Deniable casualties." Memory flooded back. Japanese diplomat getting too close to operations. Decision to eliminate entire family as message. Pharmaceutical trials using his daughter as guinea pig for biological weapons research. Vincent had signed order without second thought. Just another business decision. "You're supposed to be dead," he whispered. "Magdalena Nakamura died that day," she agreed. "What survived was something else. Something that spent 15 years becoming perfect weapon to end men like you." Blade finding Vincent's heart was guided by 15 years of patient planning and accumulated grief of millions. As darkness claimed him, final thought was he'd been wrong about people like her knowing their place. She'd always known exactly where she belonged, in shadows, hunting monsters. 7 down. When lights returned 3 minutes later, security found 7 corpses arranged around table covered with documents detailing decades of atrocities, each killed with surgical precision, weapons taken, plans exposed. Cleaning cart sat abandoned, mop bucket filled with water gone cold hours ago. Magdalena Voss had vanished, as if never existing. But in following weeks, as law enforcement discovered evidence she'd left behind, as bank accounts froze and criminal networks collapsed, legend of Phantom grew. Invisible woman moving among world's elite, documenting crimes and choosing moments to strike. Ghost haunting every gathering of powerful and corrupt, reminding them no one was beyond justice's reach. In darkest corners of criminal underworld, new fear took hold. Knowledge she was still out there, still watching, still hunting. The Phantom had work to do. From a small cafe in Vienna, 3 weeks later, Magdalena read newspaper headlines describing the Club Obsidian massacre and subsequent investigations revealing global criminal networks. Authorities called it largest breakthrough against organized crime in history. She folded the paper, left money on table, and walked into the crowd. In her simple clothes and unremarkable appearance, she was invisible again, just another woman going about her day. But somewhere in the world, other monsters were gathering, planning new atrocities, believing themselves untouchable. They were wrong. The Phantom would find them too. Have you ever wondered about the people who move silently through our world, watching, waiting, protecting us from threats we never see coming? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about hidden heroes and the justice they deliver from the shadows.